Greetings, I'm Rodger Newbold, and welcome to this episode of Experience Photography. My fellow photographer, and the editor and collaborator for this episode is Matt Rich. Currently, Matt's enveloped himself in the edit room. And are you there, my friend? All right. We're so pleased to be back with you today. In the recent past episodes, we discussed tripods and tripod heads. We laid out some options so that you could make a wise decision before purchasing the hardware, a decision that would fit your needs. And today we're going to chat about one of the most neglected accessories in photography, and that's the lens hood. First, some reasons not to use it, or perhaps to use a lens hood. The lens hood was developed to cut the nearly on-axis stray light coming towards the lens. By blocking out the uninvolved light rays, the picture contrast is increased and thus rendering a sharper looking image. In one photographer's eyes, this is seen as a plus, and the other maybe not so much. The next photographer may choose not to use the lens hood, to use the extraneous light and its associated flare coming to the lens to create a moody, even a romantic condition. The moody circumstances may be enhanced with a little slight overexposure and maybe added a little bit of soft grain and soft focus. And you know, there's never just one way to make a photograph, so use your imagination. Now, you know, there are a number of different types and styles of lens hoods, and we're going to talk about these. Number one, there is the screw-in style. You find the filter size of your lens and you use it to find a hood with the same thread size. Then there are the compendium or Bellows style lens hoods. They usually, you know, they look like a pair of bellows and they extend in and out. And that's, they're used for some type of specific focal length. You can adapt them and they're fit with different rings to fit different types of lenses. Then three, there's the pull-on lens hoods. They have a flexible collar and can be stretched over the lens barrel, and they may be used on many different lenses. Then there's the manufacturer's specific lens hood, which will generally bayonet directly onto the front of the lens it was designed for. The advantage of a specific built hood is that normally it can be taken off and then reversed back over the lens as a method of storage. Other lens hoods must by and large be removed for storage, especially a big hugie like a Bellows lens hood. A caution needs to be mentioned here about the depth or length of the lens hood. You may have to look for a hood for a specific length to make certain that the hood does not cut into the picture view or vignette the view of the camera. That would be totally dependent upon the focal length of the lens and the actual length of the lens hood. Now, number one, a screw-in type lens hood are generally rubber or silicone, and they may be collapsible or folding style that may be used to fit a variety of lenses. Now, when they're collapsed, they can be used on a wide-angle lens. You extend them a bit more and they fit a normal lens. Then fully extended, they may fit a longer medium telephoto lens. Now, the Bellows style lens hoods, they are usually gear driven and they have assigned focal lengths, usually on the shaft. You can turn them in and out to make the lens hood longer or shorter depending on the focal length of the lens that you are using. And that's pretty cool. Now, you must want to be mindful of using a hood like this in windy conditions. I generally opt out for a more solid style of lens hood, one that does not catch the wind like a big sail and sit and vibrate and shudder during an exposure. This picture shows a typical Bellows style lens hood. Now, the pull-on lens hood is constructed and used like a style number 1 hood. You simply collapse it for use and extend it for extended use. The rubber hood shown in this picture is an interesting style of hood, and I like this because it can be quite sizable, and if you are shooting something that needs light blocked, like up against the window, this big pull-on type hood will fit right up against the glass. The lens can be back a bit, and the hood will block out everything. You'll get no reflection, and they really are a neat type of hood. Now, specific type hoods. They're usually plastic, and they're controlled. They're made to fit one type of lens, one focal length of lens, one dealer's lens, and they're made just long enough not to interfere with the field of view. There are some rectangular hoods which are generally crafted for rangefinder style cameras. They block the light at the lens but remain out of the way for the eyepiece of the rangefinder camera. And that's really cool. Leica and others have a set of lens hoods that are specifically built for specific lenses. The rectangular style hood shown here is an example. Now, special shaped hoods. Most hoods are basically round in shape, and they're made to fit various focal lengths. The picture shown here is the difference between a round hood and a tulip-shaped hood. There are these odd-shaped hoods known as tulip hoods or petal hoods, or perhaps known as a flower-shaped hood. These are always specific sized hoods to make the absolute maximum light blocking effectiveness. They are cut on the corners to allow a big of picture view as the wide angle zoom would take in, but the corners are cut so they do not interfere and that they may not vignette. Now, there is one trouble you have to watch out. If you don't get it totally bayoneted and locked, or you get it just a little off kilter, they will, in fact, block part of the picture. They'll vignette. An incorrect use of this will really ruin the final picture. Now, tightly fitting hoods do a great job. They're admirable, but they generally hamper the use of polarizing filters. Now, a polarizing filter must be rotated once it's installed on the lens. You put the filter on the lens, and then you have the ability to rotate the polarizer, and we'll discuss this more in another vlog about filters. To provide for both the use of a hood and a polarizer, some manufacturers have added a small trapdoor in the side of their hood, and that allows your finger to go in and access the filter. And another thing is these hoods, to get the filter in there, are cut a little bit wider so that the filter and the hood and everything works. They're really cool. This is a picture showing of mine with the little trap door now in the side of it. And I think it's really splendid. I wish they all did that. So here's some tips for you. Do not rely on a lens hood as damage control bumper for your lens. Yeah, I've seen many lenses spared the harm of damage when it's accidentally on a camera strap and swung into something like a tree or a tripod or something else. Sometimes they're spared because of the hood. But I've also witnessed some really bad kabooms. They are not warranted for drops onto the driveway or onto rocks. It's not good. I use them, but be careful with such expensive equipment. Lens hoods can also be a good friend in a light sprinkle or a very light snowstorm. It helps keeps the drops from hitting the front element of the lens, usually long enough to get the shot. The extra depth of the hood may be beneficial in keeping fingerprints off the glass as well. And it can be helpful so that you can shoot without a filter when conditions permit. Now, I shoot with a filter almost all the time when I'm around wet, rainy, snowy conditions, or anytime I'm around saltwater spray. You don't want that back on the lens. If you damage a filter, yeah, that's terrible, $40. But it's not as bad as destroying a $400, $500, $800, $1,200 lens. Now, I got a real interesting suggestion from the group that I meet with weekly. This might sound silly, but one of the guys said, don't take pictures with your lens hood when it's in the reversed condition for storage. You'll be amazed at how many people do this simply because they don't know better. I don't know. There's no real benefit to having taken a picture with the lens hood backwards. It's not blocking stray light. It's not doing its job. It doesn't protect the front lens element. And most of all, it covers part of your focusing and zoom rings and makes them harder to operate. The only reason to reverse the lens hood is for storage and transportation. And if you actually take pictures while it's backwards, I'm sorry, but you may look like you don't know what the heck's going on. So, if you don't have a hood, you may wish to investigate the positives of today's discussions. Look for hoods. Look for different types of hoods. Look what will fit your budget, what your dealer has, what you're able to get a hold of in your neighborhood. And I think that this is really good. Now, Matt and I hope that we have given you more valuable information this week again. So please subscribe to our channel. Give us that big thumbs up if you found this information constructive. Tinkle that little bell for notification when new material is published. Now, we really appreciate it and hope that you'll keep those comments coming in, both via the web vlog page, via email, via personal discourse. Anything like that is a good way for us to get information and what you need, and allows this to be a two-way street so that we know what you need and we can share with you. Now, I hope you find that this is a valuable two-way street for you. So I really thank you so much for tuning in today. So until we meet again on screen, bye-bye for now. And thanks very much.